How one simple mindset shift brings peace and harmony to your life. I was standing in the pouring rain, completely soaked, watching the last bus of the night pull away from the curb. My phone was dead, my wallet was gone, and I had just been fired. That was the night everything collapsed. I remember staring at the wet pavement, heart pounding, anger boiling, shame rising like a tidal wave. And I thought, why me? Why now? But that's when something unexpected happened, something that would change my life forever. In that darkest moment, a strange sense of clarity washed over me. It wasn't comfort, it wasn't hope, it was something much more powerful. It was this sudden, almost alien realization. I cannot control what just happened, but I can control how I respond to it. That thought, small, quiet, almost invisible, was the beginning of everything. I didn't know it then, but I had stumbled into the heart of Stoic philosophy. Not from a book, not from some YouTube video, from pure necessity. And today, I want to show you how this one simple mindset shift can completely transform your life, bringing you a peace and harmony you've never imagined possible. But first, we need to understand just how deeply our minds have been trained to chase the wrong things. You see, from the moment we wake up, most of us live in reaction mode. We open our phones, we read a message that makes us angry, we scroll through social media and feel jealous, we hear bad news on the radio, traffic slows us down, a coworker disrespects us, a partner misunderstands us, and without realizing it, we're living as slaves to everything outside of our control. That's exactly how I lived, until I discovered this. The Stoics taught that peace does not come from changing your circumstances. It comes from changing your mindset about your circumstances. And that's not just philosophy. That's power, real power, the kind that lets you stay calm in chaos, the kind that gives you the strength to choose peace in the middle of a storm. So here's the mindset shift that saved me. If it's outside of my control, I let it go. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds simple, but it's not that easy. And you're right, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever learn. But also, one of the most liberating. Because what you'll discover is this: most of your stress, your anxiety, your frustration, and your emotional pain comes not from what happens to you, but from your resistance to what you can't change. Let me give you a real example. I once spent months planning the perfect trip. Tickets, itineraries, Airbnb, dream spots. I obsessed over every detail. But 2 days before the flight, a freak storm canceled everything. I lost my deposit, the dream was gone, and I was furious, until I remembered that mindset. If it's outside of my control, I let it go. I sat down, closed my eyes, and breathed deeply. This was never in my hands. I whispered, but my reaction is. And in that moment, I felt free. Free from blame, free from frustration, free from my imaginary war with reality. Because here's the truth: when we stop arguing with what is, we discover peace. This is why the Stoics were obsessed with the idea of control. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled the most powerful empire in the world, wrote in his personal journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That quote isn't cute, it's a weapon. It means you can face betrayal and choose dignity. You can lose a job and choose confidence. You can be insulted and choose silence. You can experience heartbreak and still walk forward with grace. But here's the catch: this mindset doesn't just appear overnight. It must be trained, tested, and chosen, especially in moments of pain. Which brings us to the moment that changed my understanding of Stoicism forever. I was sitting with my grandfather as he was dying. He was once a powerful man, sharp, disciplined, charismatic, but in those final weeks, he could barely speak. His body was breaking down, every breath a struggle. But what struck me most wasn't his suffering. It was his peace. Every time I visited, he smiled, not because he was in denial, not because he was delusional, but because he had already accepted that his decline, his death, was beyond his control. "I have nothing left to fight," he said quietly one day, "and that's why I'm at peace." That's when it hit me. Peace isn't something we earn by fixing everything. Peace is something we uncover when we stop trying to control the uncontrollable. And if we're honest, so much of our life is spent trying to do just that. We try to control people, their opinions, their behavior, their love, their loyalty. We try to control outcomes, success, timing, the future. But life doesn't care about our plans. It cares about our readiness. And Stoicism prepares us, not by giving us guarantees, but by teaching us resilience. Now ask yourself this. What have you been trying to control that you were never meant to? Is it your past? The decisions others made? That one betrayal you keep replaying over and over again in your mind? It's time to let it go. Because when you shift your mindset from, "This shouldn't have happened," to, "This happened. Now what will I do with it?" you step into your power. You stop being a victim of fate, and you become a student of it. Every hardship becomes a lesson. Every pain, a teacher. Every disappointment, a sculptor carving out your character. But the magic of this mindset isn't just in how it changes your reaction to the big things. It's how it transforms your everyday life. Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic, late for an appointment, horns blaring. You feel that heat rising in your chest. But instead of yelling or clenching the wheel, you say quietly to yourself, "This is outside of my control. My peace is not for sale." Boom. You've just won a battle 99% of people lose every day. Or picture this. Someone cuts you off in conversation, misunderstands your point, tries to make you look stupid. Instead of lashing out, you pause, breathe, and respond with calm, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace more than the temporary pleasure of revenge. That's real power, and most people will never taste it. Because most people are still fighting battles with the world that they can never win. But you're different. You're here, you're listening, and that means something inside of you is waking up. And here's where it gets even deeper. Because this mindset shift doesn't just bring peace, it brings harmony. Harmony with what? With the natural order of life, with the flow of the universe, with your own soul. When you stop trying to twist reality to match your expectations, and instead align your mindset with what is, you stop being at war with the present moment. And that's the secret. That's what the Stoics knew. That peace and harmony aren't rewards. They're natural states, but only for those who stop resisting life. Now, before we move on, I want to leave you with a question, one that could change everything. What would your life look like if you stopped trying to control what you never could, and instead mastered your response to everything that happens? Because coming up, we're about to face something even harder. Not just accepting what's out of your control, but thriving in it. The shocking reason why embracing pain leads to inner freedom, and why almost everyone gets it wrong. There's something no one tells you about pain. We spend our lives trying to avoid it, numb it, escape it, but what if I told you that your pain is not the enemy? That, in fact, your pain could be the key to your deepest peace and most profound strength? You see, once I understood that I couldn't control everything, the next lesson Stoicism handed me was even harder. Sometimes, the things we fear the most are the very things that forge our souls. Let me take you to the night my relationship fell apart. I'd been with this person for years, shared secrets, plans, dreams, and just like that, it all unraveled. The betrayal was sharp. The silence that followed was louder than any scream. I felt like the ground had been pulled out from under me. But instead of drowning in sorrow or bitterness, I asked myself something unusual. What would a Stoic do with this pain? And the answer? They would welcome it. Not because they're masochists, but because Stoics knew that pain is the fire that purifies our character. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Think about that. It's not the event that hurts us. It's the meaning we attach to it, the stories we spin in our heads, the assumptions we cling to, the refusal to let go. So what if, instead of asking, Why is this happening to me? You asked. What is this trying to teach me? The moment you do that, something incredible happens. You stop seeing your suffering as punishment, and you start seeing it as preparation. That breakup, it taught me how to set boundaries, how to be alone without being lonely, how to love myself deeper than I ever had before, and most importantly, it revealed who I truly was when everything I depended on was taken away. And isn't that what we're all trying to find? Who we really are, without the masks, without the noise, without the need to be anything other than present? Here's the thing. Pain clears the fog. You learn who your real friends are. You discover which values actually matter. You find out if your peace is real, or just a distraction from deeper issues. Epictetus, who lived as a slave before becoming one of the greatest Stoic teachers, said, "Difficulties show a person's character. So when trouble comes, think of yourself as a wrestler whom God has paired with a tough young buck. Why? So you may become a champion." Now that's a mindset most people never consider. That your challenges are not signs of failure, but signs of potential. That your heartbreak, your financial crisis, your anxiety, might be the very battlefield where your true strength is born. Let me show you just how powerful this is in the real world. I once met a man who had lost everything in a fire. His house, his job, his savings, gone in one night. When I asked him how he was coping, he smiled and said, "I didn't lose anything I truly needed. My wife is safe, my kids are healthy, and I remembered something I read once. Disaster is virtue's opportunity. Disaster is virtue's opportunity." He was quoting Seneca, a Roman Stoic who lost his fortune, faced exile, and even calmly welcomed death at the hands of an emperor, but never lost his inner freedom. And that's the gift Stoicism offers us. Not immunity from pain, but immunity to despair. Because when you stop fighting the fact that pain is part of life, and instead embrace it as your teacher, you gain something almost no one else has. Emotional invincibility. But here's where things get really wild. There's a part of you, right now, that's more powerful than you've ever allowed it to be. It's the part of you that stays calm when others panic. That forgives when others lash out. That keeps moving forward when everything screams, "Give up." And that part of you? It's waiting to be activated. Not by some motivational quote, but by hardship. And when you meet pain with purpose, when you say, "This moment will not break me, it will build me," you become untouchable. Let me prove it. Close your eyes for a second. Think of the most difficult thing you've survived. The darkest moment. The time you thought, "I don't know how I'll get through this." But you did. You're here. That wasn't just a moment of survival. That was a spiritual transformation. And if you're like me, maybe no one celebrated it. Maybe no one saw how strong you had to be. But I see it, and I want you to know. That version of you? That's your real self. Not the one chasing approval. Not the one pretending to be perfect. But the one who walks through fire and comes out clearer, wiser, quieter. So here's the mindset shift we make in this part of the journey. My pain is not my prison. It's my path. Once you see this, really feel it, you'll stop running from pain and start learning from it. That anxiety? A signal that your values and your habits might be misaligned. That jealousy? A mirror showing you where you've abandoned your own path. That failure? A divine invitation to reimagine what success really means. And this brings us to one of the most shocking truths Stoicism offers. Everything you need for peace and harmony is already inside of you. Yeah, let that sink in. You don't need more money. You don't need their apology. You don't need the perfect partner or the ideal job. You just need to stop resisting the life that's trying to shape you into someone unshakable. The Stoics weren't afraid of suffering. They prepared for it. They rehearsed it in their minds. They visualized loss, betrayal, hardship, not to attract it, but to disarm it. It's a practice called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Imagine waking up and saying, "Today I might be insulted. Today I might lose something valuable. Today I might feel uncertain. But none of that can touch who I am inside." And then, when those things do happen, you don't break. Because you were ready. That's not being negative, that's being invincible. You don't walk into life expecting it to be fair. You walk into life prepared to stay free, no matter what it throws your way. This is how Stoicism creates peace. Not by protecting you from life, but by preparing you to meet it with unshakable inner strength. But now I want to challenge you even deeper. What if your suffering isn't random? What if it's not meaningless? What if the reason you're going through what you're going through is because there's a version of you that can only be unlocked by this exact trial? And if that's true, then what happens when you stop resisting and start leaning in? What happens when you take your pain and instead of hiding it, you honor it? That's what I did. Instead of pretending I was okay, I started asking, what am I learning from this? What part of me is growing stronger because of this? What kind of peace can only be discovered on the other side of this? And slowly, piece by piece, I rebuilt myself. Not into who I used to be, but into someone I never imagined I could become. Someone grounded, calm, open, free. You can become that too. But only if you stop wishing life was easier, and start becoming someone stronger. So let me ask you this. What part of your current pain is secretly shaping your greatest strength? And if you really believed that, how differently would you face today? We're almost there. You've come a long way. From releasing control, to embracing pain. But now comes the final, and most beautiful, revelation. How to live with harmony in every moment, no matter what life brings. And it all begins with one sacred, ancient, and forgotten truth. The final Stoic truth that will forever change how you live every single day. Have you ever had a moment so quiet, so still, that the entire chaos of life just paused? I remember sitting by a lake once, just after a storm had passed. The water was perfectly calm. No ripples, no wind, just silence. It felt like the entire universe was breathing, slowly. I looked around, and for the first time in weeks, I wasn't anxious, I wasn't overthinking, I wasn't trying to fix anything. I just was. That was the first time I ever truly understood harmony. Not the kind of harmony you hear about in songs or see in perfectly planned days. No, I'm talking about a deeper harmony. The one the Stoics spent their entire lives trying to teach us. A harmony that comes not from outside arrangements, but from inner alignment. And here's the truth. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It's the presence of alignment with nature, with reality, with your true self. But how do we get there? That's the question I want to answer with you right now. Because if we've learned anything so far, it's this. We can't control the world. We can't avoid pain. But we can shift our mindset, and that shift can lead to a kind of peace most people never touch. Let's talk about that shift. It begins with accepting that life is not random. Every event, every delay, every loss, every miracle, they're not mistakes. They're threads in a tapestry we can't yet see. The Stoics believed in the logos, a divine reason that organizes the cosmos. They didn't pretend to understand it fully, but they trusted it. They believed that the universe operates in accordance with a rational, natural order, and our peace comes from living in tune with it. This means, when you stop resisting the flow of life, you start living in harmony with it. Epictetus said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happen the way it happens, then you will be happy." Sounds strange at first, doesn't it? But read that again. He's saying, stop arguing with life. Start flowing with it. Because when you align yourself with reality, When you stop demanding that things bend to your ego and instead begin bending your ego to reality. Suffering fades, not pain, not hardship, but suffering, the unnecessary suffering that comes from clinging, resisting, demanding. Imagine waking up each day with one goal. To love whatever happens. Not passively, not with a fake smile, but with a grounded, stoic resolve. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. There was a man I knew who lost his job unexpectedly, laid off without warning. For weeks, he was crushed, angry, depressed, but then something changed. One morning he woke up and said, "I don't know why this happened, but I will not waste it." He used the severance to start a small business, something he dreamed of for years but never dared pursue. 3 years later, he employs a dozen people, and he told me, "Losing that job was the greatest blessing of my life, but only because I stopped seeing it as a curse." That's the essence of the Stoic mindset shift. Life doesn't owe you comfort, but it does offer you opportunities, hidden inside every hardship. Harmony begins when you stop labeling events as good or bad and start asking, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? What is this moment shaping me into?" Because the truth is, nothing that happens to you is more powerful than what happens within you. And that's where the real transformation begins. Look at nature. A river doesn't argue with rocks in its path. It flows around them. A tree doesn't resist the seasons. It adapts, sheds, regrows. The wind doesn't ask permission to change direction. It just moves. Everything in nature flows, adjusts, bends. So why don't we? Because we've forgotten what we are. We are part of nature, not above it, not outside it. And when we realign with that truth, when we remember that we are made for this world, not made to control it, everything shifts. You begin to breathe differently. You stop rushing. You stop needing life to make sense before you feel okay. You become okay as it is. That's harmony. I experienced this most profoundly when I lost someone I loved, not to death, to distance, to life changing in a way I couldn't fix. For weeks I wrestled, I replayed memories, I blamed, I grieved, but the turning point came when I went for a long walk in silence. No music, no podcasts, just the sound of wind and footsteps. And I whispered to the sky, "I release this, I don't understand it, but I accept it." That was the moment I came home to myself. No fight, no resentment, just presence. And isn't that what we're all looking for? Not more answers, but more presence. Not control, but connection. Because you and I both know, life is unpredictable. Some days it kisses you, other days it punches you in the gut. But if your peace depends on the day's mood, you'll always be a victim of the weather. But if your peace comes from alignment, from choosing to say, "Whatever this is, I trust it," then suddenly, even the storm becomes your ally. And this is the final piece of the Stoic puzzle. Live by principle, not by outcome. Outcomes are outside your control. But your principles, your virtues, those are yours, always. So wake up each day and ask, what kind of person do I want to be today? What values will I live by, regardless of what happens? How can I respond to life in a way that reflects who I truly am? Because when you do that, when you live in alignment with your highest self, external chaos can't steal your inner calm. You become grounded. Not numb, not passive, but deeply, fiercely at peace. And let me tell you, when people feel that from you, they notice. They'll say, "There's something different about you." They'll feel the strength in your silence. They'll feel the freedom in your calm. And the best part? It's not some secret trick. It's not some unreachable level of enlightenment. It's one simple mindset shift. I live in harmony with what is, not what I wish was. And you can start today. With every conversation, every frustration, every joy, every heartbreak, Ask. How can I respond to this with wisdom, not resistance? How can I flow, not fight? How can I remember that peace lives inside me, not in the outcome? You'll stumble, we all do. But with each step, with each breath, with each quiet moment of choosing alignment over control, you'll become unshakable. Because the real secret isn't about fixing life. It's about flowing with it. So as we end this journey together, I want to leave you with one final thought. A quote that's been etched into my soul, and I hope it becomes a compass for you, too. It's from Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Let that sink in. Your obstacles are not barriers. They are bridges. Your pain is not a prison. It's a teacher. Your peace is not out there. It's within. So let go of what you can't control. Embrace what you can. And step boldly, quietly, powerfully, into a life of unshakable peace and radiant harmony. Because it's not just possible. It's already waiting for you. Right now. In this breath. This is the Stoic way. And it just might change everything.